Good evening, comrades. Banking in India, it has come a long way. From the days of manual banking, we have moved to the core banking for the last 10 to 12 odd years. So, the central government has entered the banking business with the nationalization of the Imperial Bank of India in early 1955. So, the next major government intervention in the banking that took place on 19th July 1969 when the Indira Gandhi government nationalized an additional of 14 major banks. When we see the importance of public sector, we can see that the national banks could reach throughout India. So right from the weaker section to the high class people. So the public sector banks being the largest in the India, reaching nook and corner of India is done by only the public sector. So normally if we see in the olden days, we can see that the banks comprised of commerce graduates. But nowadays we can see that the young bankers are mainly professional graduates. So what is the reason for them to come into bank? So the main reason I find is the job security. But we can also see that slowly the PSUs are being dragged into privatization. So privatization may also lead the employees to lose their jobs. Like this is one of my view. So there are many ill effects of privatization, but I am taking only this. For instance, if we see, we would have heard about the Indigo Airlines, the largest private airlines in India. So a couple of days back, many employees were chucked out from it. So this is the state of privatization now. And also unemployment will also increase the level of crime in India. So more due to privatization. So there will be a constant fear in the minds of the bankers if they'll be fired or not. And this will create a sort of depression and affect their health also. And mainly the public sector's banks have always risen to the call from the government, be the sanctioning of loans for new government schemes or piloting the new government initiative. And importantly, during this pandemic, when all other government offices were closed, it was again the bankers who have risen to the call to serve the nation. Big salute to all the bankers. And today also is a very special day. Today is the Kargil Vijay Divas. So as our Indian soldiers, they are guarding our country, the public sector banks are also guarding the Indian economy. The next point we have to ponder is about the customer centricity. So we have to identify the customers right from high to small and try to reach them more. So for this to be done, we have to evolve policies and products which enhances their needs. So in the current scenario, we can now see many big companies coming out of China and they are trying to establish them in India mainly because of the cheap labor in India. So the private banks, they will definitely try to take them up. So here we the PSU, we must try to reach them and take them up. So but what is needed here is technology. To be frank, the technological aspects in a private banks are much superior than us. The major shift in the banking industry came with the advent of core banking technology. So we may all ask ourselves whether technology is a savior or an enabler or destroyer of banks and their business models. But one thing is certain, in the coming decade, technology will revolutionize the banking workforce. Even the core banking services like loan and deposit services are being offered online nowadays. So the day will not be far when financial services will be available to all through digital avenues with personalized capabilities suited for each customer. So when we look at SBI itself, SBI has launched SIA, which is the SBI Artificial Intelligence, and this was launched in the year 2017. Even now we are witnessing the technology right here. The webinar is also a result of technology only. So this is where the future is, and also the expectation of the young tech savvy young bankers. So the banks will have to exist in any country. So in the years to come, there will be a lot of financial readjustment. And the customers' growing desire to access the financial services from the digital channels has led a surge in the new banking technologies that are reconceptualizing the entire retail banking market. The technology has geared toward improving retail banks' operational efficiency and is positively impacting the market. And when we look, the retail banks are also launching platforms in BaaS, that is the banking as a service space, to remain competitive. Even the neobanks, they are redefining the future of the banking around the world. And the financial technology, or the fintech, it also shifts the gear to revolution. So fintech's impact is already across all the sectors of the that comprise of financial services markets, and it is right from the wealth management to microfinance. So the impact is also being felt by the customers. Now, if you look at fintech, fintech is the point at which the financial service and the technology, they collide together. And it is not a new phenomena. Fintech 1.0 was launched in 1866, from the laying of the first transatlantic cable to the invention of the ATMs. And then we had Fintech 2.0, and now currently we have Fintech 3.0. So, but we mainly nowadays focus on customer service. But despite that, we can see that many private banks, they are working with our customers. So why is this so? The speed of the service and the latest technology is the reason for this. And this is what the young generation need now. One click ordering from Amazon or Uber, we can see that the products are delivered immediately. So the bank customers also expect the banking interactions to be easy, fast, and transparent on their own terms. So one of my view is that we should have the technological upgradation and also an updation for a better future of banking. The another big expectation of the young bankers would be ideation, the formation of ideas and concept. It is nothing but idea evolving. So we should never stop once we have found a solution. We have to keep on evolving and develop ourselves more and more, so that we could keep ourselves updated with the future. Now, the transition from mass bank to the class bank, due to the financial inclusion, increase the customer focus, and it's also drastically changing the landscape of Indian banking nowadays. And another thing, when we note, India is mainly agriculture oriented nation, but it is slowly diminishing because of our reluctance on financing. So banks are mainly thinking about only profits, and our assumption is that agriculture will not yield any profit. So if we look at the geographical lands of Punjab and Haryana, we see that the agriculture is good. But whereas if we come down to the south states like Tamil Nadu, the agriculture is slowly diminishing. So here the public sector banks can revive the agriculture sector, and they have to concentrate more on it. So for this, separate policies also can be formed. Um, and another thing which I would like to focus is the work-life balance. So the work-life balance should be always maintained in our public banks. Generally, nowadays, the very busy IT people are now working at home and are having a much quantity and quality time at home. So this work-life culture should prevail in all the public sector units also, so that they can spend time with their family and take care of themselves. And ultimately, it leads to increase in productivity. And also we can see that some huge loans are being given and they move on well, but if some loans goes bad, the accountability made is very high, and due to this, the dynamic banking is not being done, and they're hesitant to provide some kind of loans also. So I think some kind of relaxation may be provided regarding this. And apart from the business, if we look at the culture in the banks, we may ask, what skills will they require, or how can those skills be used to deliver better outcomes? So the main thing is, like, we have to understand the expectation of a new generation of bankers. Now the generation Y, they are known as the millennials. They were born between the year 1981 and 2000, and they'll be constituting 72% of the global workforce by 2025. So their aspirations and attitudes towards the work will shape their workplaces in the future. So understanding this generation of bankers is vital to the industry's success. And banks must not only hire the right people for the right roles, but also establish the right culture, the right target, and the right aspiration to retain and bring out the best in their staffs. And the technological advancement will also replace some roles that were previously played by the employees. So banks should review their operations to assess whether the technology will have the greatest impact on their staff or not. And banks, they have to retain people from different backgrounds with different views and experiences. And I think the banks must also rethink about their HR life cycle. That is, right from the recruitment, they have to ensure that the employees, they remain engaged and motivated to deliver the best outcomes for all. So both people and the technology, they can have a transformative effect on banking. So that is my view. And these days, if a bank is not financially healthy, it will not be around for long enough to take care of the customers also. Now, to attract effective work, the pay that they offer to their employees also must be attractable. Now, there was a traditional image of a banker. It was a banker with a bowler's hat, and it was generally gradually replaced by a gentleman in stripes and braces. And once again, there is a radical transformation. The banker of the future is more likely to be a young female technologist. So, as we are moving toward a corporate culture, according to my view, the ethnic culture can also be brought into the bank. The essential task for the banks over the next decade will be adapting their existing policies and process to a new generation of workers while managing the expectation of the existing workforce and redeploying them to new roles. So, in a nutshell, from my point of view, the expectation of the young banker will be a big no to privatization, the customer centricity, improved technology, latest bandwidth and latest technology. Then there comes the ideation and new revamping of HR policies and concentration on the agriculture sector and also the work-life balance. And before coming to an end, I would like to share a thing which is out of technology or the financial business. The service conditions or the job security and what we are now are all fought and brought to us by a trade union only. The only vibrant trade union is the Indian Financial Sector Trade Union. And similarly, likewise, we also expect more and more involvement and honest towards the trade union from our young bankers too. So I would like to say, united we stand and divided we fall. Our unity is Zindabad. Thank you.